Okay, see, people are jumping in already. Hi, Monica.
Good morning,
Yes.
Laura.
How are you?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great.
I have Troy Bambino here with me.
Hi, Monica.
So we have our
Hi,
masks on until
Troy.
take yours off when I leave.
Okay.
I'll get out of here.
Nice to see you, Troy, with the
Nice
mask
to-
on.
Oh, thank you.
So we'll give it a couple minutes, and then just because they're brand new, they don't necessarily know who you are. So if you'll introduce yourself.
Oh,
and all
I
that
will.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff too.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I hope you guys continue.
And as
to be
people
safe.
join, they'll just be able to.
Oh, that
come in.
reminds me. Actually, I'm going to do it from my computer. I'm going to drop a couple of direction things in the chat room throughout the hour. Hi, Elsie. I always drop a few instructions in there, but if you drop them in before people join, they don't see it. Because
Right.
the chat doesn't work until you're in.
Got it.
So you know how it goes. People will be joining in the first 5 minutes, but you can start on time for the most part. I mean, if they come in late, they come in late.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
okay, and I think if people know you're teaching, you're going to have a crowd.
Oh.
Ooh, Troy Bambino, woohoo!
Yeah, sure. They'll go, who's that?
Well, Monica knows who you are.
Of course I do.
You're like, we need your autograph. We should have, I have my stylist. We could do an audit. You could do an autograph for everybody. I can start it now in, hey, you guys, so Troy is a bit new at this whole Zoom thing, but
I've been on your side many times, just not the instructor side.
Going to be, well, you're going to be a great instructor. He's got lots of stories to tell you, so it's going to be really fun. And I'm going to go ahead, he's using my computer, and I'm going to step out so that he can take his mask off. But I'm going to go ahead and start us in slideshow mode so that that part is done. And then I mean, if you did the aerial, you could see how many people they are, but it's really up to you. You don't have to do that. And then again, if you grab this bar, so I'm holding this down and you can move it. Okay. And then otherwise, there you go. So I will get out of here so that you can take your mask off, okay?
All right.
Thank you, sir. Holler at us if you need anything.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Monica, are you the only one I can hear?
No, that earlier, that was not me. That's Cindy.
It's Sandy.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Oh, okay. So my name is Troy Bambino. I'm with the Dave Clark team out of Campbell. I've worked with Dave. I think this is my 22nd year. We sell somewhere between 70 and 100 homes a year. So I've been doing this a long time. So if you guys are ready, I like questions, so I can't see your text questions if you write them in. So raise your hand or you know, speak up. But I like the interaction. I think a lot of times with the classes, they get structured, and a lot of the value from the seminars I've been able to do or teach and the feedback we've gotten, it's a valuable time to get some of your questions answered and kind of give you my insight and things that I think are important. So, you know, let's feel free to, you know, speak up, okay? All right, so if you are ready to get started, we'll begin Ignite Skills to Spark a Great Career. All right, so here we go. Okay, what we'll focus on today: lead generation for buyer sellers, making sellers listing presentations, getting listings, negotiate the contracts. Okay, so let's keep going forward. Okay, so who knows what the 3 Ps are? prepare, present, and position. Preparation. Who can define negotiations? Okay. So I think negotiations, to me, it's actually one of my favorite parts of real estate. But what a lot of people don't realize is we're negotiating all the time. You negotiate with your kids, you negotiate with your spouse, you negotiate it in the office, pretty much with everything you do. And I think a lot of people either get intimidated or don't have a value for the negotiations. But with the real estate market in our area, it can be so competitive, it's crazy. And the negotiation part can be a big advantage or edge, or, you know, something that opens a door for you. And so I want to help kind of give you more, tools to use, or things that help you get your offers accepted. So when they say prepare, you want to analyze what's happening with I guess I want to focus on the offer process. When you're preparing, the offer, you're negotiating with your clients. You're the one who's going to know the circumstances, the situation with the offer. You've been talking to the agent, finding out how many offers they're expecting. Are there 1 or 2, or are there 10 or 11, right? And so in doing that, when you sit down with your buyers, you want to prepare them. You're going to negotiate with them about their contingencies, about the as is, about the length of the contract. So in preparing for your offer, you're going to get them ready for what you think they need to do, or whatever information you're receiving from that listing agent to get your offer accepted. Okay, so if there's 10 offers, and your buyers are still not ready to go in with 0 contingencies or as is, you're moving them along. So if they're not ready to make that move or that jump, then you've got to use each offer. You don't have to get the first one or the second one or the third one, but you're moving them towards getting the 4th one or the 5th one with whatever the market conditions are, right? In slow times, we can go in with 10, 14-day contingencies and still get an offer accepted. When the market's faster, that's almost impossible around here, right? So how do you take each opportunity or each offer to advance them further along? So do you guys have any questions with the preparation?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you for responding. When you're presenting your offer to a listing agent, you got to remember, if they're receiving 7 offers, there's the 7 offers, but there's 10 more who are considering writing an offer, right? So a lot of times they don't have a lot of time for you. So what you want to do is be prepared with your questions, but be considerate of their time, because they may not have a lot of time for you. It's not that they're trying to rush you out of there, but one of your questions can be, what's the best way for us to communicate, and maybe ahead of time before you get to the presentation point, right? Whether you're presenting in person or just preparing by, you know, asking them questions. Like me, I like to text. You know, we've been averaging about 10 offers per week on whether it's 1 or 2 listings that we average. And so I like to text because I'm going from appointment to appointment, and a lot of times I'm not sitting at my computer looking at email. I'm answering 7 texts in between, you know, one appointment that I'm going to a stager appointment with a seller. So find out how that agent likes to communicate. If they've got a lot of time and they're available to, you know, talk on the phone, don't just communicate the way you want to communicate. If you love texting and this person wants to, this listing agent wants to email, communicate the way they want to communicate, because that you're making their life easier, and that's an advantage for you to get more information, to get, you know, kind of be looked at positively. So when, you know, they're looking at accepting offers, they look at you favorably and you go, man, I like working with Monica. She did a good job. She communicated, asked good questions, and was respectful of my time. So those are all things that will help you you know, get your offer accepted, besides what your offer is, right? The price, the contingencies, the as is, the terms of the contract. So again, we're always negotiating. Use every opportunity to put yourself in a favorable position, because a lot of times from the listing agent's position, we're already in a good spot. We've got the listing, right? The only thing we can't do is get in contract with an agent who doesn't have control of their clients or creates problems, right? So we're not only looking at the offer, we're looking at the agent's experience, right? And from the buyer's position, we want to, you know, the buyer's agent's position, we want to be prepared to listen. What is that listing agent telling us about how much competition we're facing? You know, if there's 2 offers, it's a lot different than if there's 12, right? About how we're going to move forward with our clients, right? If there's 12 offers, we got to go back to our clients and let them know, hey, this is highly competitive. We really have to step up if we want to get it. Your job is to guide them. And remember, you're moving them along towards getting an offer accepted. If they're not ready to compete in this one, that's okay. You know, you can still move them forward to getting an offer accepted. Also remember, it's okay to write a low offer, because your concern is your client, right? And they may not be ready today or next week, but you're getting them ready. And one of the valuable things that, even if they can't compete, is that when they put in a low offer, they're still going through the emotions, right? They're gonna be anxious and excited and nervous and scared. They're spending $1 million, $2 million, and they're going to have a reaction to that. So even if you're not writing a great offer price-wise, don't, you know, think that there's no value there. It's bonding you to your client. They're going through a lot of emotions. You know, I work with a lot of sellers now, but for many years I worked with buyers. And what I would tell my buyers is, look, you're going to get scared and you're not going to be able to sleep. So if you need to call me at 2 a.m., go ahead. Right? And the reason I did that is so they wouldn't call me at 2 a.m. Now, if I didn't tell them and they were having a freak out session, which is going to happen, they're spending a lot of money, right? I prepared them for that rush of emotions, that fear. If I prepared them for it and let them know that, hey, you know, this is normal. You're spending a lot of money. You're going to panic and want to call me at 2 a.m. Then they don't call me at 2 a.m. because they said, hey, Troy said this is normal. And then they would call me at 7 in the morning rather than 2 in the, you know, in the middle of the night. So we're always moving our buyers forward to get in a position to get their offer accepted, right? That's part of your value to them. So you're preparing for the offer, but you're preparing your clients to move forward. Okay, any questions? All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a question actually. Did you get into a situation where the buyer doesn't really trust what the listing agent is claiming regarding amount of offers that they're having and all of that?
Absolutely, yes.
So how do you deal with that? You
Well,
know?
it's your job as the agent to interpret it, because I work with a few buyers, very few, and usually they're past clients, or I have one now where it's the son of a client I had 15 years ago. They're having their first child. They're, you know, trying to buy their first home. And he, you know, that couple asked me that very question, right? And so as the buyer's agent, it's your job to do a couple things. Tell them about the landscape. Look, on the last, you know, 4 homes that you've been interested, whether we put offers in or not, we've been averaging about 6, 7 offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a similar home, similar neighborhood. Not the market changes quickly, but in this case, it was only a few weeks later that the market was still hot, right? So I let them know that I believed exactly what the agent was saying. But I also said there are many times where I don't, and I will communicate that to you. My response was, right now, what I'm seeing makes sense. The number of offers he's claiming to have, the number of disclosure downloads that they've, you know, said they're working with, or, you know, the buyers of agents have downloaded. It's all in line with what's happening in the market. Now, there have been other times where I said the exact opposite. No, I don't think this agent is being honest. And my recommendation is to come in a little lower. And a lot of times I'll take it a step further on, here's what I think. If they're, you know, not being truthful, here's how I think they'll respond to our lower offer, right? And this is not an optimal situation, and we're dealing with someone that we don't trust. So even with our low offer, we may get some funny business or unusual behavior or response from the offer. So when you're in that situation, it's your job to navigate the waters and guide them through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's a big trust building opportunity for you and your client. If you tell them, even if, I mean, there are times that it happens where the agents, oh, we got 1 million offers, we're, really, really high in price, and it just doesn't fit with what's happening in the market, or the home doesn't measure up. Because if you've been working with a client regularly and writing offers for them or doing your homework, you know what is happening in the market, and it needs to make sense. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't take kind of being truthful and honest as a code of real estate agents is not always true to everybody.
Um, there's so many agents out there, right? And everybody works differently. I've definitely run across, circumstances or offers where I didn't believe what the agent was saying. Now, what you've got to remember too is that they may have a really high offer, but it's got 14-day contingencies or 20-day contingencies. So the price is too high, right?
Yeah.
But it's really not a strong offer because for the next 2 weeks, that buyer could back out at any time.
Right.
So they're trying to use it as leverage, but they have a strong offer, but it's not a great offer. And the problem is we don't know this from the buyer side, right? So, or even within a crazy market, the price is really high, but it's too high, right? Your buyers have their comfort zone, and a lot of times we have to stretch their comfort zone. But in this case, you need to, my objective was to always worry about what the buyer's situation was. How long had I been working with them? What were they ready for? Or it was out of their price point, right? But my objective was to educate the buyers, because if this is happening and the market stays the way it is now, we may run into this again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to maintain your relationship with them, build trust, and get them a home. And there are times where it just doesn't line up that, hey, the agent on the other side's not sharing information with us, or if they do, we don't believe it. When you're in that situation, I'm very careful with my clients. And, I know you want this home. Let's do our best, but we're kind of working in the blind here. There's a lot of other times when I'm listing a home, I'm sharing with all of the agents. I want them to write the best offer possible for my client. But part of that is sharing with you what's happening. So you can write the best offer you can, right? It's what we're coming up to is creating a win-win situation. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how about if we move forward? All right. Here, let me move something. All right. So you guys can all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. How can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of a deal? Pretty much in every way possible. If you're, again, you're negotiating with everyone and at every turn. When you're talking to your clients about price and contingencies, you're negotiating with them. When you're talking to your children about a snack that they want or candy, or you're negotiating with them. And the better you get at negotiating, whether it's through reading or, just paying attention, looking at their motivations, the better you get at negotiating, the more often you're going to win the deal. So you're negotiating with your buyer, but you're also negotiating with the listing agent, right? Some of the ways that, you're negotiating can affect the deal is the relationship you have. Number one is with your buyers. Do they trust you? When you respond to them, if some agent you think is lying to you and you tell them, oh, no, I trust that agent, and you really don't, you're going to lose trust with your buyers. When you're talking to that listing agent and they've got 12 offers, or it's really busy and you want to talk on the phone for 45 minutes, you're losing value with that agent. So all of these things, your preparation, what am I doing that's adding value or taking away value? Those are all negotiations. So like I said earlier, find out how that listing agent wants to communicate. right? I'm out on the road. I don't have a lot of time to check email. Phone calls are okay, but text is better. I can answer 10 texts in 15 minutes between appointments, right? And I want to communicate with you, but if you sent me 3 emails, I can get to, 2 emails in 15 minutes where I can get to 10 texts, right? Rushing from appointment to appointment. So create, favorable outcomes from your negotiations. Realize that almost everything you're doing is some form of negotiation. When you're communicating with that agent, how much time are you taking? Find out what they want, what's of value to them. Hey guys, or I've got a lot of time and I only communicate via email, or I'm not a texter. I just like, to take a phone call. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Every listing agent is going to be different. And since a majority of time we're in a fast market where it's more of a seller's market than a buyer's market, we need to know how to put ourselves in a favorable position. Okay. All right. So I've covered a lot of this about negotiation in your everyday life with your kids. What are skills that great negotiators possess, right? All of the qualities that you have come into account when you're negotiating. But to me, the number one thing is listening. I was helping a client sell their home in Campbell, and oh, pardon me, it was in Sunnyvale. We sold their home, and this was a decade ago. But they were just going to Campbell, and I don't work with a lot of buyers, so we were busy with listings. But so they went and worked with a buyer's agent in Campbell. And they called me up about a month later and said, Troy, we need your help. I said, tell me what's going on. They said, well, we've lost 3 homes with the agent we're working with. We really like him. He's a nice guy, but we don't feel like he's going to be able to get us the home that we want. I go, okay, how can I help? They said, well, we found a home. There's 2 problems. One, offer day is today. And the second thing is that there's already 3 offers in, right? I go, oh, wow. Okay. So we don't have a lot of time. They said, will you help us? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I go, meet me at my office in an hour and a half. Let me go look at the house. Let me talk to the agent. I'll see you. It's like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So I was going to meet them at 4:30 at the office, right? So I go look at the house. I call the listing agent. I'm up front, right? I say to the listing agent, I say, my name's Troy with Keller Williams. I've got clients who love your listing and I want to get it for them, right? So I said, tell me what's happening on your side, right? She said, well, today's offer day, 5 o'clock deadline. We have 3 offers in. We'd love to have a 4th, right? I said, okay, I'm going to meet with the buyers, but I'm going to be a couple hours late. Can you wait till 7 o'clock, right? She said, thought about it for a second. Yeah, Troy, we can wait for you, right? So I go back to the office to meet with my clients, and they said, okay, Troy, the list price is 1.2. Are we offering 1.3 or 1.35? And I said, we're not. We're offering 1.2. And they flipped out. They were like, Troy, you're going to lose this home for us. What are you doing? And I said, remember when I sold your home? We got 8 offers, right? If I had gotten a call at the last minute from an agent with interested buyers, they said they loved the house, I wouldn't have told them, oh, we'd love to have another offer and we'll wait for you. I would have said, hurry it up. and make it a good offer, right? So, and that wouldn't have been being mean. It would mean that, hey, I've already got 8 really good offers and we don't have a lot of time to wait. I have an appointment time with the sellers. Get moving and make it a good offer, right? And she didn't do that. She actually said they'd love to have a 4th offer, which tells me their first 3 offers weren't great. Now, I really didn't need that additional time. I needed some time, but I didn't need 2 hours. I was testing her to see if she would give me the time that I asked for, right? And even though she was, you know, their 5 o'clock deadline, they were probably meeting at 6, they were going to wait an hour for our offer. Now, if they had great offers in hand, they wouldn't have waited for me, right? She would have put a little pressure on me. Troy, I'll give you 45 minutes, but that's it. So the sellers, the buyers, pardon me, said, Troy, we're going to, you know, we can't lose this one. You're going to lose it for us. I said, you know, when I sold your home and we had 8 offers and 3 of them were fantastic, you know, if someone came in late, I wouldn't tell them, you know, oh, we'd love to have another offer. I'd put some pressure on them saying, make it a good one and don't waste your time if it's not a great offer, because the window's closing, right? There's not a lot of time left before we decide which offer we're taking. She didn't do that. She said she'd wait for us. She said they wanted another offer. So I was interpreting what was happening for the sellers or for the buyers. So we wrote our offer at 1.2. I was able to, I said, do you want to save 150,000? The buyer said, yep, we sure would. So we wrote the offer at 1.2 and we got the offer accepted. The problem from the listing agent side is that they never knew that there was another 100 or 150,000 in play, right? The listing agent didn't know, and even worse, the seller didn't know. And that was an example of not listening. The listing agent was so upset with the 3 poor offers that they had. You know, I laid my cards on the table and I told her, my clients love your listing. It's my job to get it for them, right? She didn't hear. She was so worried about what was happening with the offer she had that she didn't listen to me. And just a couple sentences. Okay, Troy, I'll give you a little time, but write a good offer. Okay, get going and we'll give you a little time for your offer. That's negotiations. Listening to what whether it's your kids, whether it's the buyers, listen to what they're saying. Try and understand it from their position. With the listing agent, she didn't listen to me about how important it was that I got this home for the buyers. Her responses gave me an opening to change my strategy with the buyers. So listen, listen, listen. There's a saying, you know, in negotiations, she who speaks first loses. So, yep, you want to communicate your point. More importantly, you want to listen, but don't just sit there and babble and babble. You're trying to accomplish something, and listening to what the other side is saying is a huge part of that, okay? All right, so that takes care of why, you know, the great negotiating skills. So let's move forward. Brainstorming negotiation issues. Common points of negotiation, price and terms. All right. Common points. All right. Daily success habits, break down the common point. Okay. With experience. A lot of times when you're trying to bring the buyer and seller together, it's working through the agents, right? And the position that your buyers take with your offer is going to be something that the sellers interpret. Is this favorable? Is this not favorable? If it's a slow market and there's not a lot of interest, they're just happy to have an offer. If there's a bunch of offers in and you're bringing in an offer with contingencies and, you know, all kinds of concerns, you're not going to be able to bring that together. So interpreting what's happening with each offer is part of your value to your client. If you have to have a discussion with them about, you know, the offer that you're writing, that's where you've got to address each issue, but that's where your value is to them. If they're not ready to compete in the market, you've got to, don't not write the offer with them. And it's better to put in a bad offer that has contingencies so you can use that to learn from. But as you do that, educate them on what's happening and listen to their response. Are they understanding what you're saying? Are they grasping it, accepting it, and kind of moving forward? Okay. The preparation. The goals are pretty easy. You're trying to retain your client and get them into contract, right? So knowing your client, if you're just getting started, read the contract. You're gonna have to answer a lot of questions about what contingencies mean, what, you know, how does something affect them with the close of escrow, when their deposit goes in. So the more you read the contract, the more you're going to be able to answer their questions and move them forward, okay? So your number one goal is keeping your client. Your number two goal is preparing them for an offer. And the market changes. How do you prepare them in a slow market? How do you prepare them in a competitive market? It's different for both. In a slow market, if they want to, you know, take it step by step and have full contingencies, it's okay. It's always better to write an offer than not write an offer, because that's bonding you to your client. Go through the process with them and use that information to educate them and move them forward, okay? Obey the laws. Your job is to protect your client. So read up on what all of the laws are, listen to your team leaders as far as what's changing, because, you know, with this COVID outbreak, everything's changed, right? And how we show homes, how we work with clients, it's all changed. So, you know, just make sure you're doing the right things. Here, you know the documents inside and out. The more you read the contract, the more you're going to understand how to protect your client, how to move them from point A to point B. Set clear expectations. In everything you do, whether it's with buyers, whether it's with sellers, I would rather under promise and over deliver than to over promise and under deliver. Because, you know, when you're setting an expectation, if you're disappointing your clients, you know, I promised them $2 million for their home where I know I'm only going to get 1.8. You're not going to get referrals from that. You know, if you're constantly disappointing your buyers and how things go, oh, we can get this at 1.4 million. And then they don't get it, you're disappointing them. So, you know, when you're writing an offer, whenever you're discussing the contract with them, you know, and I tell them, I go, you know, I might be under promising, but I'd rather be cautious and give you good results than, have something go wrong and disappoint you. And they, as long as they feel like you're taking care of them, they want to know what's going on. They've got to learn what's happening in the market so they can be prepared. All right. There's a time and a place for open-ended questions and closed-ended questions, right? Open-ended questions, how do you feel about whether that agent's being truthful or not, right? Because you're in the position of helping them determine if that, that listing agent, it's a question someone asked earlier about, can you believe a listing agent when they're telling, you what's happening with the offers, right? And so go ahead and ask that question back to your buyers so you can get their thoughts on it too, because that's a difficult situation to be in. If you ask them a closed-ended question, do you believe what this agent's saying? They're not going to expand on it. They're just going to give you a yes or a no, right? But most of the time we want to ask open-ended questions when we're in discovery phase. We want to find out as much as they want to share with us when we're asking them a question. When we're under a timeline, ask that agent, are you or anyone on your team writing an offer? It's a yes or no answer. You want to know that going forward, because if they are writing an offer, you want to take that back to your clients and say, in this situation, our possibility of getting our offer is, has gone down because they're working on both sides, right? So you're preparing that buyer for a potential outcome, okay? When you're starting for the newer agents, you want to find out why that buyer's buying, what's important to them, right? And by asking them that question, an open-ended question, they can tell you anything that matters to them, right? If you just ask them closed-ended question, do you want to buy a home? Yes. You're not getting any additional information. They may have a baby on the way. They may have a job change. They're working on a timeline, and you need to get them into that house in 2.5 months, or they're going to go to someone else if you can't make that happen. So knowing the value of open and closed-ended questions as an agent is really important. Okay. Next step. I'm going to skip through that. Let's see, prepare. Is there any questions from anybody at the moment?
Troy?
Uh-huh.
Hi, this is Yvonne from
Hi,
San
Yvonne.
Jose. How are you? Thank
Good.
you. I do have a question, Troy, goes back to what you started with earlier on about interacting with a listing agent.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to know is, when you present the offers to your sellers,
Yes.
how much of a factor is it with the communication level you've had with that buyer's agent? And how do you communicate that to your sellers?
It's huge. That's something that I incorporate with my meeting with the sellers. Whenever we receive offers on a home, if we have 10 offers,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 of the agents have communicated beautifully, right? 2 or 3 of the agents have asked three questions or 3 different time, communications, and 3 or 4 of the offers I've never heard from, right? It scares me to take an offer from an agent I've never spoken with, right? The offers just show up with, they never asked about disclosures or how many offers we were expecting, or telling me what their buyer's position is, or so whenever I'm sitting with the sellers, I let them know, hey, from this point forward, it's all about that buyer's agent and how they navigate the waters, guide their buyers through this closing process. Our work was to get your home to the market. Now the buyers take over and it's all their work. And those buyers are going to have stressful moments, and a lot of our homes are $2 million sales. The buyers get nervous. How is that agent going to communicate with their client to get them through that, right? And so communication is huge. I inform the sellers about that, and I say, hey, these two agents did a fantastic job with me. I have a lot of faith in them. A lot of time, if there's an offer that's way above them, the money talks, right?
Right.
But I will let them know who I think the confident or the capable agents are. So, because that's going to affect how the rest of the escrow goes. So excellent question, Yvonne.
Yes, thank you.
So you put your personal thoughts about buyer's agent when you present offers?
Not my personal thoughts, but my observations on their ability to close the transaction.
Who is being honest? Who is keeping their promises? They say something and do it.
Yes, absolutely. Because, and I tell the buyer's agents this too, the sellers are going to be the ones who make the decision on what offer to accept. I'm guiding them and I'm giving the strengths and weakness of each offer, but ultimately it's going to be the sellers who make that decision. It's their home. But yes, I'm letting them know who I feel comfortable with, who's communicated well, who's been honest. So you are correct. Yes. And that does get back to the sellers, and the buyer's letters with photos have a huge impact. There are times where it's an investor who's selling and they don't carry any weight, right? But they never hurt. There are many, many times that the buyer's letter is the deciding factor. I've had two separate situations where in one case, the seller went to the 5th place offer because 1 through 4 didn't have buyer's letters. And the seller, the top offer was $60,000, $70,000 higher. The seller said, can you have the 5th place buyer just move up 20,000? They look like a lovely family. We want to take their offer if they'll move 20,000, right? Of course they did. It went great. I let them know that there were offers above them and why the sellers accepted their offer. There was another time where a lady had passed away. It was a huge lot. She gardened, she loved cats. And the lady selling the house was her niece, right? So the niece, we sit down, review offers. The 3rd place offer is from a school teacher who went to Stanford with a picture of a cat. And she said she loved to garden, right? So we're sort of early in negotiations. There were 2 offers above her. The cat lady offer raised her offer 40,000, right? And the seller said, I'm not accepting that offer. I'm accepting this offer, the $40,000 lower offer. She goes, my aunt was a Stanford graduate, a school teacher, loved to garden and loved cats. So she didn't even take her higher offer. She took the lower offer and said, this lady will love the house, but my aunt will love that she's the one getting the house. So your buyer's letters are communication also and negotiations, and people who have their heart in the home, which is a lot of times what happens with the sellers. Those buyers those buyer letters have a big impact, okay?
Yes.
All right, let's move on. We pay attention. So earlier I was talking about how important listening is. Paying attention to verbal and nonverbal cues when you're sitting with your buyers, when you're talking to the listing agent, whether if it's in person, picking up on the question we had earlier about can you trust a listing agent? All of these things come into play. There's studies on, verbal and nonverbal cues, paying attention, listening, but also observing, right? Is someone uncomfortable? Is someone fidgeting? There's that old saying, buyers are liars. That's all part of the process. All we've got to do is get them ready. They're not going to give you all of their reasons. The listing agent's not going to share everything with you, but by asking good questions, listening, observing, you're going to be able to make good decisions on what your next question is. And every question is moving you forward to getting more information from the listing agent, finding out what the true motivation is for your buyers. Because when you start working with buyers, you're building your trust with them. And the more they share with you, the more you know why it's important, whether it's the timeline or what kind of house they're looking for. But the more you do that, the more value you bring, okay? So I said this earlier about listing. Keep quiet once you present, right? Let people respond, let people talk. You don't have to jump in every moment. You want to listen and observe carefully to what they're saying. They're going to tell you what they need or what they want. You're going to report that back to your client, and you're going to tell them, hey, I do trust them, or I do think this is going on. There's that information is valuable to the buyer and the decision they're going to make. Staying calm and relaxed is always good. This is, buying a home is stressful enough. Buying or selling a home is in the top 5 stressors of life. So if you get all worked up and, don't remain calm, the buyers are already stressed out enough. The more confidence and relaxed demeanor you present, the more confident they feel in you. Okay? You're going to make it an easier process for them. Their confidence in you is going to increase. And focusing on the customer's needs is something that a lot of agents don't do. They're seeing the paycheck, they're seeing the, getting into contract. If you stay focused on what that client wants, you're going to get them the right home, and they're going to be a client for life. You're going to get a call from them in 7 or 10 years to sell their home and help them buy a new one. And this is a wonderful business, and you want to be in it for a long time. So treat people well, and by staying focused on what their needs are, you're taking care of them, and that's what they want in a realtor. Okay. And same thing with the interactions with the listing agent. When I see that a buyer's agent is taking care of the buyer's needs, I've given newer buyer's agents guidance and help, and hey, why don't you try this? And, Troy, I don't think they're going to compete. And I'll sit there and have a conversation with a newer buyer's agent about the value of the stage they're in. It's like, you're right. You may not get this one, but if you take this back to them, they get to make the decision, and they understand that they're probably not going to get it based on the decision. But now you've just gone through an offer process with them, that you've built their confidence in you. They understand decisions they have to make. Their value in you has skyrocketed, right? But so it helps you with the next offer and the next one if needed after that. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Can I answer a few questions?
Hi, Troy. This is Lydia. I'm in the listing agent position, when you know, my listing is my first listing. I'm a little nervous. So we did get some interest, but I'm not sure how many of them will submit an offer. So you keep saying that to guide the buyer's agent, how and what would you suggest to do or ask?
Okay, Lydia, what city is your listing in?
Cambrian, San Jose.
Okay. Have you been on the market long?
That's the tricky part, that we never been to the market, but we plan to before the pandemic. So I put it on coming soon. Then later the pandemic comes, so we decided to hold. And after a month, it's withdrawn. But recently, last week, when we decided to put on the market, I found out that I cannot change the list date. So
you've got all that time on your.
yeah, on
Got it.
Redfin is showing 130 days, but actually we just been onto the market for 5 days.
Good. Okay. So you're just on the market 5 days.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you don't control, but what you do control is your relationship with your sellers, right?
Yeah.
And your job is just to report to them what is happening in the market. So you've only been on there 5 days, where anyone searching the MLS, whether it's an agent or buyer searching, are going to be able to see your home, right? Just let them know what's happening. Are you getting strong interest from agents? How is the home being received? How many showings you've had? A lot of what you're doing is just reporting to them, right? And then as you get responses, whether it's written offers, verbal, like, oh, the backyard's wonderful, and oh, I just think the kitchen's great, or it's on a busy street and my clients just don't love that, right? You are not responsible for the market, good times and bad times, right? What you do with that is what your value is and your responsibility to your sellers, okay? So you're new to the market. Let's see how people respond to it, right? You're still new, very short time on the market, and you just have to interpret those responses and work with your seller to make decisions. Okay, hey, we've been on for a while. We do need a price change. Or, hey, you know what? We're getting 8 showings a week. We're not far off. Look and see what your competition is and how you compare to the other homes on the market, right? At the price point you're at the attractiveness of your listing. Find out if, hey, we're in a great position. There's bigger homes and smaller homes, and there's nothing else like us. Or if there's 5 other homes just like yours, then you're not in a great position, and have that conversation with the seller. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I also get some interest from the buyer agent side. They are asking whether we have a due date, offer due date. So
Okay, Lenny. I do that a lot, where I don't know what the response is going to be, because 6 weeks ago the market was slow, and then it picked up in the areas that we work in, Santa Clara, Sunnyvale. And so the market changes, right? If you've got 5 agents asking you if, there's an offer date, it's good that they're asking, is there an offer date, right? Because they're showing interest. If you weren't getting those questions, that would be a bad thing, okay? But the question is how many of those you're getting? If you're getting 5 or more, set an offer date. If that date comes and goes, you can always remove that from the MLS, and now you're just available on the market like, a lot of homes. But if you feel like you're getting strong interest, then set that offer date. Okay, because
What did you say about the offer date? Can you say it again?
if you're getting 3, 4, 5 agents asking you if you're setting an offer date, then go ahead and set the offer date. Now, say we come on the market, and it depends on when, right? You've been on the market 5 days. So in Sunnyvale, we'll put a home on the market on Wednesday. You know, by that Monday, if on Friday I've already received 10 calls and, oh, I'm showing it, Troy. Oh, I've already showed it. My client loves it. Then on Saturday, I'll set that offer date. But there's other times where, you know, I don't get a response. I want agents to show the home first, because a lot of times agents call and they're excited that there's a listing and they think they're going to write, but their clients haven't even seen it yet, right? So I'm waiting for the agent's response, but more importantly, the buyer's response. And if there's 3, 4, 5 of them, again, here's the negotiation part. You're asking those buyer's agents, what did your client think? Are you guys, you know, do they want to write an offer? What's your position? A lot of times I'll ask an open-ended question. Tell me how your buyers feel about it. What do you think you're going to do? If I've got 3, 4, 5 of those agents who are giving me that strong feedback, then I'll set that offer date. I don't want to set it, if it's Sunday, I don't want to set it for Monday, because they need time to review the disclosures to prepare the offer. So I'll set it for Wednesday. Lydia, you're in your 5th day. You know, if you came on the market on Tuesday and you know, Monday came and you're getting all these calls, maybe set the offer date for Thursday. Give the buyers, you know, all day today, all day tomorrow, and then noon on Thursday is when offers are due. Think about what they need, think about what you need, but you're just getting to the response point where agents and clients have seen the house over the weekend. So based on their response, that's how you'll determine whether or not to set an offer date.
So about 8-9 days later, you went active on listing, MLS listing.
Not necessarily, I believe. Depending on the response you're getting, interest you're getting.
Yeah, if the interest is there and you think you're going to get offers, then go ahead and set the offer date. If it's just questions from agents, kind of seeing what interest level you're getting, that's your job to interpret how serious they are. Like the story I told earlier about, you know, it being offer day and I was trying to get a house for my clients. I opened up with, hey, my clients love your listing and I want to get this home for them, right? So I gave that agent good information, let her know, hey, we'll be writing an offer. I need a little time, but their communication with you, listening to what they say, asking the right questions, helps you interpret so you can make a good decision on what to do, whether to set that offer date or not.
Troy,
Uh-huh.
real quick, I know we're close to our end time. Can you just touch on preemptive offers? What your thoughts behind that? How do you handle it as a listing agent?
You know, it's different every time with preemptive offers. Like right now, we've been in a hot market for 6-7 weeks, and we expect 7-8 offers.
Right.
In the very beginning, the second week that the market really picked up, we received a preemptive offer, right? Mm-hmm. And it was fantastic. It was a nice high offer. And I was sort of in the same position where I was getting calls from agents, but no commitment for offers. And I just wasn't positive. Mm-hmm. So I guided the seller towards accepting that preemptive offer. It was clean. It was as is. It was a great price. So I did guide them towards accepting it. every week that we're negotiating our new listings, I'm getting agents or preemptive offers, right? Agents who want to write preemptive offers, or the discussion, the conversation with buyer's agents. So, you know, if I know I'm getting 7, 8 offers, when someone asks me that, I'll let them know. I have a conversation with the sellers. My sellers have asked me to hold all offers until offer date, right? Now, if it's at 1.7 and someone wants to write it 2.2, 2.3, go ahead. I mean, I'll take that to the seller. But, you know, it just depends on how strong, you know, I have buyers agents saying, oh, we're going to write you a great offer and it's barely above asking, and we're going to get offers 200, 300,000 above. You know, they don't really know what's going on. But a lot of agents who are writing preemptives have a good idea.
So Troy, let's say you set a date and you get a preemptive.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
Well, as listing agents, it's our job to discuss those. So even though I you know, I've still got to discuss it with the sellers.
Right. We have
It's
to
right
prove
in
it.
line with what I think. I go, hey, we're going to do better than this. Let's, you know, save it for offer day. But the sellers will make that call. Oh my God, no, Troy, I really like that one. I'm tempted by it. And then I'll guide them on, do I think we can do better or not?
So Troy, but what about if you set the date and all these other agents were anticipating and you've shared with them the date? How do you handle that?
Well, okay, so when I do receive a preemptive,
Mhm.
90% I'm telling them no, right? 90, 95%.
Okay.
But I still have to have the conversation with the seller.
Right.
And if the seller puts me in a position where they're considering accepting it, I'm making all of those phone calls right now to anyone who has downloaded disclosures or shown interest.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Wonderful Zoom. I hope you all got something valuable out of it. And
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you.
Okay, it was fun. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe. Stay
Bye.
safe, everybody.
There, ending.